Hello, guys. Welcome to another fresh and exciting episode on the show. You guys know I only bring the best of guests to my show. And once again, we have a very special guest today. Today's guest is Rob Wolf. Rob, let's meet you.
Nice to meet you, Dominic. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Very honored to be here.
All right, Rob. I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. My name is Rob Wolf. I was born in Detroit. My parents are from Hungary. We'll talk about their book and their life in Hungary soon. I was raised in the Michigan area through 12th grade. I lived half my life in New England and half my life in Michigan until I moved down here to southern Florida about 7 years ago. I'm a doctor. I'm a neuroradiologist. I was happy to attend University of Michigan medical school, and I went to Tufts undergrad before that. And then I did my radiology training at Brown and then neuroradiology at Yale. So I was very fortunate. So now I'm 30 and I started my radiology practice. I just retired about a year and a half ago after 35 years 44 years when you include college, med school internship. And it's been quite the trek. So I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing, which is now I've changed vectors a little bit. I'm fighting anti-Semitism in my own way through the book, through my dad's stories and my mom's stories. But I have a lot of other interests too. I'm not all maudlin. I like sports and music, and I'm a foodie. I like going to the gym. I'm into fitness, nutrition, golf, travel, education, history, and even investing.
All right, Rob, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. So let's get into the show. Rob, tell us about your book and why did you write your book?
Well, the book is called Not a Real Enemy, The True Story of a Hungarian Jewish Man's Fight for Freedom. The reason I wrote the book, I'll give you a little bit of history of the book. My mom and dad wrote his autobiography in the 1970s. They had written the stories as though things that happened the previous day. They covered my dad's childhood, actually the end of World War I in Hungary, so to the end of the Hungarian Revolution in 1956. So a good, close to a 50-year period, Nazi Hungary, communist Hungary. So they went from paper and pencil to a typewriter to a computer to a disc. I might have read the manuscripts 30 years ago or so and didn't think much of it at the time. I was a busy guy with family and practicing radiology, medicine, so I didn't think much of it at the time. Flash forward, my dad passed away in 1997, unfortunately. My mom passed away in 2016, and a historian friend of the family handed me the disc. Now, my dad's story was on the disc, and she said, well, you've got to read this when you get a chance. I didn't think much of it at the time, took care of mom's affairs after she passed away, actually retired for a year, and then went back to work in 2018, which brought me to the disc. And between reading cases, x-rays and ultrasounds, part-time, helping out a friend in Michigan, I was looking at my dad's story again. So I've got two computer screens here. The left screen was my dad's story, and the right screen was me dictating his autobiography and converting it to a biography. And when I read his stories, the 4-time escape artist, 20 miracles, the backdrop of anti-Semitism throughout the book, the messages were clear, the miracles were amazing, and I was so motivated to share my dad's story. I couldn't leave it on a computer. I couldn't leave it on a disc or a computer, so I had to share it with the world. So, and here we are. I mean, the book's won 4 awards, which is a miracle in itself. I thank my team for that, But yeah, the book is an adventure. It's my dad's biography. It's a history of little-known Hungary from the end of World War I, like I said, to the end of the Hungarian Revolution in 1956. Obviously, an adventure, like I just said, and also it's the trials and tribulations, the triumphs and tragedies of my dad's family, who didn't have it, who weren't as fortunate as my dad. His parents, for example, perished at Auschwitz. Well documented.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the book and the history of the book.
Well, that was kind of the history of the book. I wasn't really a big writer back when I was in med school, or other than having to write papers, contribute to papers under the guidance of certain professors. But this was a project. Like I said, in 2018. If you want to go forward with the history, I queried agents, publishers. Hearing an echo. Thank you. Agents and publishers, we queried for I don't know, half a year, couldn't get anything going. Was about to self-publish the book in 2020. But then before I did that, I decided to show the book to a few beta readers, professional readers, for a small fee. And one of them, who's now a friend, suggested Janice Harper, who was my co-author. She said, have her take a look at it. And Janice offered to redo the book instead of just a regular straight up biography. Dad was born here. Dad did this. Dad did that. A to B to C. She converted it into a real novel with conversations, parallel stories, converging stories, letters to and from home, and really made it quite the novel. And then so we ended up querying again. She helped me vet out the agents and publishers that we were to query that might really hit success. And our very last query was Amsterdam Publishers from the Netherlands, and they took on the book. And so and we released it in 2022, and it's been successful. I've done 200 programs with this book. I'm still going strong with it, still fighting anti-Semitism, teaching people about genocide and hate, and in the meantime, sharing my dad's amazing stories. Just so many lessons, so many miracles in it. And still going strong. I joined Podmatch a few years ago, as you apparently have too. That's been a good way to spread the stories, to share the messages, and we continue strong. We know anti-Semitism is a problem in this world. In your country, South Africa, for sure. Of course, you had the apartheid issues back in the day. No, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, and for us, for the Jewish people, and for anybody, that this hatred and this the anti-Semitism is just it's unacceptable behavior. It's unacceptable thinking. And my little corner of the world is to try to help assuage that negative thinking that people have. So I took it on. The book's had a great history, and we continue to go strong.
Okay, so what is the exact message you're trying to pass with your book?
Say that. What you said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there are several. There's a lot of them, actually. So, of course, the perils of anti-Semitism is through the background of the whole book. The Not a Real Enemy, the title, was a title that my co-author came up with. It was also a chapter in the book. And my dad was not a real enemy. He was always on the run between forced labor camps and the communists, and his 4 escapes. He really wasn't a real enemy just because he was Jewish. But that's how the Soviets described him late in the book, right before my mom and dad's escape from the country overall, my dad's 4th escape. We talk about, in our book presentations, we talk about hope. We talk about integrity. We talk about fear and loneliness. We talk about determination, resilience, and ultimately redemption. My dad became an OBGYN. It was tough for a Jewish man to get into medical school back in communist Hungary, but he did. He redid his residency in Boston at a Harvard affiliate, which is another miracle. Amazing that he got in and was able to redo his residency while still learning English. And that was just motivation. I mean, so there's so many stories about how you can be at the bottom of your life, or how you can be scared to death, or how you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, or the next place to live, or where you're going to work. And my dad was able to overcome that. So it's really inspiring. It's an inspiring story. And again, with anti-Semitism in the backdrop, with the fight against it and what it can do to people, even if you're not in a concentration camp. My dad was fortunate enough to be young enough to work in a forced labor camp, which they did which they forced a lot of the young men to be in. Some ended up in death marches. Some, like my dad, had to trek all over Hungary, airport strips, digging wells to place landmines, all kinds of arduous tasks. And he got through that in spite of having a relatively coddled childhood. And that's another lesson. I mean, what happened to my dad could happen to any one of us. And people don't realize until they read this book that, wow, this could be me. This could happen to me too. So, and the final lesson, I should say the final, there's a lot of them. But another big lesson is we should be, I don't know about South Africa, but here in the United States, we can vote, we can go to work, we can get in our car, go anywhere we want. We can own a TV and a radio, things we take for granted. That those things were just not available for the Jewish people over many years. They were persecuted, and they were treated like second-class citizens.
All right, thank you so much, Rob. So, how do you think that reading the book and sharing the stories could help curtail racism and anti-Semitism?
Well, okay, so we're doing it now. I mean, I'm like, I can't fight anti-Semitism myself, that's for sure. I need help. I need to recruit. And I have Jewish friends in South Africa that have tried to help me get the book into the Holocaust Museum in Johannesburg, for example. I'm not sure it ever made it. They say the mail system there stinks. I've experienced that. I sent a copy of the book to the Johannesburg Holocaust Museum, and it came back all destroyed about a year later saying no recipient or some crap like that. But then I had another friend in Rhode Island who happened to be traveling to South Africa, and she took a couple of copies of the book and sent by courier there to the Holocaust Museum. Hopefully it made it. But the book is in other Holocaust museums. The United States Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., where I've done 4 book signings. I call that the mothership. That's the main one. But the book's at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, the Illinois Holocaust Museum, Long Island, many other places. It's in at least 30 library systems. And like I said, I've done about 200 programs. Many of them are podcasts, but also TV and radio interviews and book presentations of all kinds. And with that, I want to teach the children. I want to teach in the classroom. But with every new audience, we are spreading the message about the perils of hate. And I continue to do so. And I'll tell you, my ultimate goal is to teach in the classroom, whether it's high school, college, graduate school, summer reading. And I'm slowly working at that. I'm doing it alone. I don't have any secretaries. So I do all my legwork by myself, which includes a lot of phone calls, texts, emails. And it's difficult. There's a lot of apathy and indifference about anti-Semitism and hatred. And I guess that's one of the things that I'm fighting. I can't stand to see that. You don't have to hate me, but at least support our cause and help us defend our right to live as we do, just like Muslims and Christians and Hindu and Buddhists all have a right to practice their religion and raise a family, and so do we. And so it's education starts at home, of course, and I can't be in everybody's house. I can't be reading parents' minds, but when I do get to educate parents of kids, that goes a long way too, because education also it comes from school, and it should be more than just science and math and English. It should be other things like tolerating other people socially and integrate in a better way.
All right. So where can people find the book?
Well, if you Google Not a Real Enemy, if you Google Not a Real Enemy, or if you Google my name, Robert J. Wolf, MD, you'll find the book. You'll find me. We're at top of the SEO. It's been like that for years. We're very aggressive about trying to get our book known. Of course, it's very difficult, but we're doing it. Yeah, the easiest way to get the book is find Not a Real Enemy on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.com, but it's also on sale at the hard copies at some brick and mortar stores at Barnes & Noble, but also you can get it on Barnes & Noble online, also at Walmart, and also multiple Holocaust museums. I mentioned some of them. You can buy the book at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., the one in Illinois, the one in Michigan, the Zeckelman Center it's called, and the one in Long Island. It's also on sale at Tufts University Bookstore, which is my alma mater, and it's out there, easy to find. You can also find me on social media if you want to, and we have a website and a YouTube channel, both packed with material, videos, interesting information about that era, about anti-Semitism, about the history. So that's robertjwolfmd.com is my website, and Not a Real Enemy by Robert Wolf is our YouTube channel, and then I'm across the board on social media. You can find me on Meta, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. So there's no shortage of avenues, and I'm probably not naming everything that I should. My co-author wants me to get on Reddit now and try to find more book clubs, and it's in the bucket list. But one person at a time, one group at a time. And I tell people if I sell one book a week or 2 books a week, or the book converts somebody's way of thinking from how it was prior to reading it, then I will have done my job. And that's my ultimate goal, is just to make people think a little bit more that there is more to life than just food, water, clothing, and shelter.
Okay, so what was your dad like after finally getting to the U.S.?
My dad's name was Irvin Wolf, E-R-V-I-N, Wolf, W-O-L-F, same last name as me. Ironically, he had cousins. I have second cousins that still live in Toronto that spell it W-O-L-F-F. Interestingly, my dad never had a middle name, so I kind of gave him one as a kid, just laughingly. I named him Irvin Jefferson Wolf. Jefferson, a famous early on president for the United States, as we approach our 250th birthday in 3 days, obviously. But his name was Irvin Wolf. And then in Hebrew, it was Moshe ben Yosef, which is Moses, son of Joseph. His dad, who perished, was Joseph. The grandparents I never met. His mom was Camilla. But dad was Irvin Wolf, E-R-V-I-N, and Moshe ben Yosef was his Hebrew name. And he kept that the same. And my mom was Judith, Judit, Vash, V-A-S. And she obviously she got married to my dad. She was 11 years younger than my dad. And they were married until he passed away, and then my mom quite a bit later. So no, they didn't change their names. And Wolf is actually, interestingly, a German name. It's not really a Hungarian name, but a common name in Austria, neighboring Austria, where the book ends up, where my parents end up at the end of the book after escaping for his fourth time. But Wolf is a popular name in Austria for sure, and Germany. Austria, what I once heard was like it was a top 10 name in frequency, just like we have Smith and Jones here in the United States.
Okay, thank you so much, Rob. So where would you like the lessons to be taught?
Well, like I said, the classroom. The classroom is the number one goal. I mean, and because kids are impressionable, and we need our youth to understand the meaning of peace and tolerance, integration, acceptance. These crazy kids on college campuses protesting Gaza and this and that, and the flames fueled, that doesn't help anything. People don't care. It's destructive, and bullying Jewish kids from going to school. Those are the places that I need to teach these kids about what anti-Semitism really is. And, whether it was 60, 80, 100 years ago, the song remains the same. People just found different ways to persecute, torture, maim, struggle with different religions. And instead, they should step back, be tolerant, love thy neighbor. Because I have a lot of friends that are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Asian. I have tons of friends from all. And my parents were the same way. They tried to embrace learning about different cultures, learning about different religions and people. And I'm kind of doing the same thing. So ultimately in the schools, but anywhere, Holocaust museums, churches, libraries, synagogues, town halls. I've reached out to politicians locally. I've reached out to Steven Spielberg. We all know who he is, all the movies he's done, including Holocaust movies like Schindler's List and the Shoah movie. Bob Kraft, who owns the New England Patriots. I don't know if you've heard of the New England Patriots, but they're one of the most famous franchises here in the United States. He's trying to spread football in Israel, but they have a big fighting anti-Semitism campaign going as well. Adrian Brody, who was in The Pianist, which was a movie about the Holocaust. I've really reached out to a lot of people. It's very difficult, but I'm not going to quit. I keep doing it. Adam Sandler was another one. Natasha, what's her last name? Natasha Leone, I want to say her name is. She's Hungarian. I think she's Jewish too, and she was in this mini-series called The Russian Doll. She was very good. She could play my mom. She could play my dad's mom. She got the great red hair, typical Hungarian red hair, so Hungarian descent. So, I've really reached a lot of people. There's more to go, but it starts with you and me, my next-door neighbor, neighboring countries. I'd love to talk at the Holocaust Museum in Johannesburg, but I can't even get a book over there. So I gave up, I mean, it's probably an easy flight here from Miami. I understand it's expensive there, but to hell with it. If it's a trip like that, I'd love to go to South Africa. The only time I've been to continental Africa was many years ago, Kenya and Tanzania. That was a great trip. I was 10 years old and went on a safari. A lot of people I know have gone to South Africa, and I'd love to go, not just to see the people and the cities and maybe do a safari or two, but also to spread the word about our fight against anti-Semitism, especially in a country who has experienced a lot more recently than the United States did, this fight for freedom between Nelson Mandela and who was it, de Klerk, and the whole apartheid mess. And I only know a fraction of it, but it was ugly. And then, of course, continental Africa has had many, many episodes of genocide, war, starvation, famine, and now obviously pestilence, Ebola virus, and other issues too. I mean, we all have our issues. So, but yeah, continental Africa wouldn't be a bad spot. Europe, where anti-Semitism is rampant, Canada, Australia, and the United States is a handful enough. I mean, if I could sell a lot of books in the United States, get the message to a lot of people in the U.S., that'd be a good start. But it's a worldwide phenomenon. Did I put you to sleep?
No, not really. I think I had a little bit of technical issues. So, talking about your background in radiology or medical background, hobbies, and other interests, let people know more about the author so they can feel a little bit connected to you.
Sorry, Dominic, you're in and out. I'm missing some of what. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
So, I said, talk about a little bit about your background, radiology, and your medical background, and your hobbies and other interests, so that people can feel a connection.
Bye.
All right. So, I said, talk about a little bit about your background, so that people can feel a connection. Talk about your radiology and your medical journey and your hobbies as well.
Well, radiology is the practice of reading X-rays ultrasound, CAT scans, MRIs, nuclear medicine. We do fluoroscopy, so upper GIs, barium enemas, mammography, the study of breasts, the imaging of breasts, all kinds of modalities. Their PET scans have come into vogue the last few years, positive emission tomography for cancer detection, metastatic disease, certain inflammatory processes too. And we have interventional too, so angiograms, interventional, fistula declottings, pulmonary angiograms, filters to prevent clots from going to the legs, to the lungs, biopsies, abscess drainages, fluid collection drainages. It encompasses a wide range of subspecialties, radiology. I happen to be a neuroradiologist, so I study, my special interest is in the brain, the spine and spinal cord, and the head and neck. So that's a neuroradiologist. But in my practice, over 35 years, and like I said, 44 years all in when you include college and med school, I've done a lot of it. I've just done about all of it. And in that 30 years, radiology's really morphed. It's really evolved quite a bit. Teleradiology, for example, telemedicine was started by the radiologists. Telemedicine is very popular now, especially after the advent of the coronavirus epidemic. So people could talk to their doctors online by Zoom or by phone. But radiologists invented that, at least 30 years ago. And boy, has that evolved. It took forever to upload one case, like a head CT, a head CAT scan, and now you can do dozens. You can do many cases uploaded in a matter of seconds. So that's really changed. As far as throughput goes. It's a great field. I mean, you're kind of the jack of all trades. You're the master of none. Pediatric radiology is another subspecialty. Abdominal imaging, ultrasound, like I said, angio, interventional, gastrointestinal. There's all kinds of subspecialties, but it's great if you like anatomy, if you like the way the human body works, and it's a reasonable lifestyle. I mean, it's a busy it's a busy thing. You want to be busy. You want to be in a busy practice. It's something that's thriving. But it's allowed me to meet a lot of great people. I've helped thousands of people in my lifetime, and grateful to be able to do that. And I was compensated for it, sometimes well, sometimes not as much. But it didn't matter as long as I'm making a living. There's food on the table, shelter, like I said, food, shelter, clothing, and everything else is gravy. So, and then, like I said, the last 7-8 years now, my vector has changed where I'm doing more. I'm trying to give back something to the community by selling this fight against anti-Semitism. It's not really selling it. It's just trying to ask people to be normal, be peaceful. So, I've been fortunate to have great training, great education, great parents, and I honor their legacy by doing this book. By the way, 10% of my author proceeds are going to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. That's in my will, my trust. That's ongoing. And so hopefully someday that's going to be a significant amount of money. So that's a win-win because I educate about the history and anti-Semitism, and part of my funds go to an institution that's what they do too. They're educating about the Holocaust history as well as genocide.
Thank you so much, Rob. So how can listeners connect with you and know more about your work?
Well, like I said, social media is a good way. You can find me, Robert J. Wolf, MD. Like I said, on X, Twitter, Facebook, which is now Meta, LinkedIn. That's my favorite social media platform. It's the most professional. I've had my greatest traction through that site, and I highly recommend getting on LinkedIn if you're a professional, if you're a business person, and using that. Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Like I said, you can find me robertjwolfmd.com, my website. You can email me if you want, robert@robertjwolfmd.com. I get a lot of spam, so don't spam me. Just send me a serious email, and we can talk about it. I can send you links to buy the book. I can send you links to do reviews, and please reach out and help me do a podcast like this one. Let's do a book presentation. We can do it by Zoom. We can do it live in person. I went to Vegas last year to do a live podcast, and I went on a trip around Italy on a cruise and did a book talk. So I don't say no to anything. So just reach out and help me with the cause. It's great meeting new people. You won't be disappointed. We talk about radiology. We talk about sports, music. We talk about the book, history, a lot of things. It's not just so easy to find, easy to read. The book, they say it's captivating. They say it's riveting, intriguing. Some people say they can't put it down. To me, there are parts of the book there's no sugarcoating in the book. So there are parts of the book that are so sad that you will have to put it down for a little bit. But happy ending, happy stories, sad stories, no pussyfooting around, no sugarcoating. It is what it is. And I appreciate your time to have me on here and asking all these great questions.
Sure, thank you so much. I appreciate your time as well for coming to my show and providing your insights and your perspective to my audience.